Southwest and Lithonia. And then Jean Davis is just in the main health center.
No.
She used to have this
Will
area.
the main meeting of the fifth district executive board of directors please come to order? And I'm glad to have Ms. White with us today, a new member, ex-officio member, that is, of our board. Nice to have her with us. I believe she's the only new member. Ms. Thornton's not a new member, but we're glad she's here today. Is there someone that you would say a word of prayer for, please?
Precious Heavenly Father, as we gather around this table today, please guide us in the right channel that we may do thy work as thou would have us do it. Bless each one as we depart and go to our homes, and may each thing that we do in our daily task be acceptable in thy sight. We ask in thy name.
We'll have the roll call by secretary, please, ma'am.
Ms. Garland. Ms. Elizabeth Dixon. Ms. Frances Hammett.
She's on the way.
Ms. Alford here. Ms. Lucy May. Sister Mary Christian.
On vacation.
Ms. Lois Northern.
Present.
Ms. Sally Clark.
Present.
Ms. Charity Wells.
Present.
Ms. Nancy Mahaffey.
Here.
Ms. Pauline English.
Here.
Ms. Ann B. Holly.
Here.
Ms. Elizabeth Ann.
Here.
Ms. Margaret Thornton.
Here.
Ms. Rachel Sanders.
Here.
Ms. Emily Zerk.
Here.
And Ms. Stella Oakham. And Ms. Louise White.
Brian is sitting in for himself. Vice President, Judy Brown. Come in. We have a full house today. The minutes of the May 9 meeting were circulated. What is your pleasure with regard to accepting them as circulated? I know the minutes be approved as circulated. Is there discussion? Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Motion is carried. We have some communications at this time. I have a letter from Mr. McClellan written to Mr. Newell Edenfield. If you remember, he was the attorney that was present at the meeting on March 11th. I'll ask the secretary to read this communication.
Mr. Newell Eddingfield. Dear Mr. Newell, although you have probably already been advised, this is to let you know that at the special call meeting of the 5th District Georgia State Nurses Association yesterday afternoon, Ms. Emily Zerks made the motion, seconded by Ms. Nancy Mahaffey, that the action of the membership taken at the March 11th, 1965 meeting in adopting certain revisions of the bylaws be rescinded. This motion was very extensively discussed, and upon a vote on the same, the count was 90 in favor and 164 against. According to my calculation, the motion would have had to have had 168 votes for passage, based on the 2/3 requirement, but it did not receive even a majority and was very definitely lost. The meeting was carried out in every respect along the lines you and I had discussed as being the proper procedure, and I sincerely trust that the group who heretofore have felt they have been discriminated against will now have the feeling that they have been given every possible consideration in connection with this matter, and that all concerned can now devote themselves to constructive work in behalf of the association. I am personally disappointed over the fact that the motion which was made from the floor and which was overwhelmingly passed required you to absent yourself from the meeting. As I had indicated to you previously, Mrs. Garland was not going to make this ruling herself as the presiding officer, but she had heard rumors that there was a possibility that such a motion would be made from the floor. At my request, she tried to discourage those who contemplated making the motion, but apparently she was not successful. I would have much preferred you remaining present during the entire meeting, but it was my understanding that there were others in attendance at whom the motion was primarily directed. If there is any further information which you or the group you represent may want at this time or at any time in the future, please let me know. With kindest personal regards and best wishes, sincerely, Ralph.
Thank you. I thought the board would like to know of this communication. We have a request from the Practical Nurse Group, and I believe this entails board action. I'll ask Ms. Alford if she read this one also.
Georgia Association of Licensed Practical Nurses, 5th District, Atlanta, Georgia, March 30th, 1965. Ms. Gladys Garland, President. Dear Ms. Garland, the Professional Registry Committee of the Georgia Association of Licensed Practical Nurses, 5th District, would like to request a new ruling on the question of the LPN's 5th District members wearing of white hose and caps with insignia. Reasons for this request are as follows. 1. Some hospitals require us to wear them while on private duty with them. 2. The colored LPNs are wearing them on private duty in most all hospitals. 3. As a nurse, we also think to be dressed in full nurse's uniform, it does require white hose with cap and insignia. 4. Other registers request their members to go on private duty in full uniform. It's signed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Thank you. Ms. Stewart, chairman, was the person that talked with me about this and at great length. I suggested that she write a letter to us with a copy for the chairman of the registry committee and the chief registrar, Ms. Hooker. It seems that this group would be awfully pleased if they were permitted to just wear the white hose. They're not too particular about the caps, since there's so many different caps in so many different schools. But they would be very happy if the board would see fit to let them wear white hose, since the practical nurses from other groups are wearing both. They would like for us to consider just the hose at this time. I wonder how you feel about this.
Madam Chairman, I move that we turn that over to the Register Committee, since we have a Register Committee.
It's been turned over to them, but it also requires.
Oh, action.
But Ms. White, you did get a copy of this. I believe your committee has met.
No, we have not met because I'm completing meetings.
Madam Chairman, I was speaking to the practical nurses being properly doing an employee standard uniform, including the white hose instead of white uniform, insignia and cap.
Well, I'll tell you, they certainly are mistaken for RNs a lot of time when they're dressed like that.
There was a
And they
letter
like
from a
to
group
be.
of doctors here 2 or 3 years ago. It never came to the board, but never went any further. Ms. Atkins may remember it, that asked that some consideration be given to request the practical nurses ought to ask the hospitals to put practical nurses into a uniform that could be distinguished, because doctors were giving orders to practical nurses, and then found later that, thinking that he was giving it to a registered nurse, and found that he had given orders to a practical nurse that had not been carried out, and the letter was written to the 5th District asking that this matter be looked after. I know myself, I can't tell who they are. Can't either.
Confidence of a practitioner, and we should not condone the physician giving verbal orders. All their orders should be properly written, set forth, and they should be carried out accordingly. I don't believe that can be justified. I believe the Practical Nurse Association, they have a blue insignia with the licensed practical nurse written on it that is supposed to go in the left-hand corner of the cap and also in the right of the left sleeve of their uniform. Well, that is a uniform, but we have not allowed them to wear it. I mean, that's their insignia. Well, does anyone want to make a motion regarding this? I don't believe there's a motion.
Well, I'm not in favor of it.
Well, may I say this, Ms. Goins, before we have one? Now, my feelings and our hospital's feelings are two different things, and therefore I cannot vote for it, because it is an administrative decision at our hospital that they do not wear the white hose and they do not wear a cap.
Well, we're speaking now of the nurses that go out from the official
Well,
registry.
these people come to me just like they go out.
I don't think there's a ruling that covers the hospital.
No,
This
you're talking
this
about.
is gonna be mighty confusing to them, see.
This is the trouble now.
Yeah, that's what I said, they come to me and say, well, now, at so-and-so, at such and such a hospital, we go in full dress uniforms. And then I have to say, well, I'm sorry, if you come to Georgia Baptist, and well, you're not gonna wear those white hose and that, and we've had some pretty hard feelings. And they have felt that we were discriminating against them personally, which we are not. But this Miss Stewart is one of the people that comes to us and also goes out everywhere else.
Well, of course, we don't have anything to say
About
about
the
the people
hospital.
that go. It's just these that are registered as the official registry that are requested.
Well, they go to the
They've requested it repeatedly, and we have turned it down repeatedly.
Well, do the
How many
hospital,
times?
They have requested it repeatedly, and we have turned it down
Yes,
repeatedly.
yes, but I have to answer this one. I won't know what you want me to do, baby. Miss Wade.
I
Did you
think-
make a motion?
I think the suggestion was made once before, but I don't know that anything has ever been done about it. Maybe they don't want to do anything about it. But my suggestion is that I don't care about the white hose one way or the other, but I do feel that it would be much less confusing if they developed themselves a distinctive uniform, a nice uniform, and just like the gray ladies have a distinctive uniform, and the pink auxiliary have a distinctive uniform, or whatever it is that they want, just so it is distinctive. That's the only thing I believe the hospitals would, I believe that all the hospitals would probably go along with that, and it would be much less confusing.
why aren't they required to wear the emblem on their sleeve saying licensed practical nurse? That would show everybody. Why don't they have an emblem sitting on their sleeve? I never have seen one with one on.
I never have either.
And I work around here, I don't know who's who. That's the truth.
And they like to dress just like RN,
I can't tell
because they
you.
like to be taken as RN.
They wear caps, they wear white hose, they
And a
have nothing
pants.
on, unless you like a pants. Would you get that close enough?
Well, you can't tell them apart.
White shoes.
I don't see the holes either. All right. I think the three holes in it are right. And I couldn't tell.
The hospital employer, they're the ones
You
who
have an
are
emblem,
standard.
like nurse's aid on their sleeve, on their
But they're all different, schools have different caps, or is this that you were talking about the emblem?
They
And
have a
this-
regular emblem, it's a blue emblem on a blue background with the white.
Well, my question is,
Some of them
Why
wear
don't
them
they-
and some
yeah.
don't.
Is it
I've seen
statewide?
some.
Is it
state or what
statewide?
is it?
Is
That
it
some do and some
We
don't?
never allowed them to use it here. They use it
In-
in the state of Florida.
Why don't
because
they
I've
use
seen
it?
No, I mean, is that state of Georgia or city of Atlanta or what?
I think they should be required to use it.
That is
Otherwise you can't tell who's
practical
who.
insignia.
I can't.
Wear it on the
I
left
don't
hand
know.
corner.
What
they call the
What
do they
wear- what do they wear when they're in training?
Didn't graduate from a school, they got it under the grandfather clause, and that's where they don't have a cap.
They don't
I don't know what they would do if they made that a rule. They'd have to adopt them.
Well, I don't think they need to.
They use what they call the K cap.
The
whole
hardest one.
K cap. Is this the National Association of Ms. White that establishes the K cap? With that blue insignia.
Well, there are not some schools that will have a pink band and some schools will have a green band.
Some have a gray.
But then, well, how,
You know, the
why do
public
they all
doesn't
have
know
an emblem?
that. The public doesn't know that because
Well, that's what the National, I think, wanted them to do was to use that emblem.
Patients don't even know the difference unless they're told when they go and deal with them.
Now, let's see, we have a motion that the practical nurse be granted permission to wear the full standard uniform, which includes the white uniform, white cap, white hose, white shoes, and proper badge. This has been moved and seconded. Now we're ready for discussion. If you have further discussion.
My discussion would be, is in that motion, the proper badge, meaning the one that we were talking about?
There would be a great number. There'd probably be one that would be adopted by the state, and then most schools have one. They graduate. Have they changed the badge from the vocational schools? But for the graduates that come from other schools.
They're just like they're doing now. They wear the white hose and the cap and they won't have a badge and nobody know who's who. Including the patients on there. See them every day.
This is where I'm confused. I see them every
They'll
day.
not wear that emblem because they want to be taken as an RN in the first place. But nobody knows the difference, including doctors, patients unless you tell them.
I've even known of some that would tell the patients they were already.
Oh, I have
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I'm certainly not for a cap or white hose either myself.
That's exactly why we do it.
Well, if they're a registered LPN, they're a registered nurse. But they don't specify. The RN stands for registered nurse.
well, for myself, I wouldn't I would object to them wearing white hose if they leave the cap off.
I wouldn't either.
Because technicians wear white hose.
Told me that if they could just wear white hose.
And if they just then they want the cap and then they want everything to go with the white hose.
It's hard.
That's just one step they're asking for.
And it's hard right now to
Yes,
do
sir.
that. And they don't want to be told apart.
That's right. Well, I think that's the
But
main
if this
purpose.
motion went in, could anybody have the authority to make them wear this uniform, but not the other?
They have their own governing body.
If they're sent out from the nurses professional registry, they will have to comply with that rule. That's
And
right.
they
Well, they're
couldn't-
not complying now with the rule
You
of the
don't check them
register.
in when they come in the hospital, Ms. White, how you gonna know?
Well, they would have, if they were sent out from the registry, that would be the only control that you
But
would
if they
have.
don't see them and they come in here wearing white hose and cap right
Well,
now.
they could maybe made to report it, and the hospitals could be.
registry then?
Why, certainly.
I suppose they went to a hospital like hers and they, like George Baptist, they say you can't wear white hose and they wear the colored hose. Well, to me, that is the official uniform at Georgia Baptist.
Well, that's right, and we have had to
It'd be
send
just
some
like
home to
me.
get them.
I wear a
They're out of
white
white
blouse
cap
and a
and
navy
white
skirt in
hose.
Fulton County, but if I went over in DeKalb, I'd wear a stripe, isn't that right? All the same.
That's right.
But see, then they feel like you're discriminating against them personally because you won't let them stay on duty in that uniform. That's what I say, it's gonna be more confusion.
Well, most of them carry the white hose or a change of hose in the pocketbook. If they go in there with a white hose on, I've had that happen.
And they'd go in the restroom and change to the dark clothes after someone had called their attention to it.
Oh, they all try to get by,
Hospitals being,
'cause I know I worked with 2 of them on my case.
Oh,
And I got after one of them the other day. I said, well, what are you doing with white hose on? She said, they're gray white. See, they're getting off white. Anything to just come over to that white hose.
I call that dirty.
There you are.
Well, I just wonder about the sudden decision to wear the white house.
It
isn't
oh,
sudden.
they always said
It's
this
not
makes
the
it
field,
been going on.
yeah.
This has been going on for
They
years.
wanna be an RN.
You feel like if you left it open the door, then you just, the next thing they'd have a cap on.
So,
That's all they want.
I just had them in with my family.
But I was,
I'm confused if they receive a cap in school, and then they work at it, and they can't wear a cap, is that right?
No, I'd much rather that so they should register, they can't wear their school cap.
They are not professionally trained.
They should have been given in the first place.
Well, I think if they get from a school, they should wear it, but I think it should be a standard.
I think it should be standard about a pen. I feel that no practical nurse should be allowed in a hospital with a patient that didn't have a pen saying she was practical.
Well, you know, some of them wear two pins, but who looks at the pins real close?
But the patient doesn't know what LPN is.
Well, LPN, I'm not talking about LPN, I said practical nurse, and her name.
Well,
No,
what,
I
That would be-
you
that would be a-
on that
I'm
LPN.
in the hospital.
just a name, just like you have your name.
They ought to have a little emblem on that they wear on with their name and say practical nurse.
That's what you see on the practical nurse of the front down the front. It's practical nurse and the name below it.
But they don't, I've never seen one.
That would be a good idea to make that a
Well, I
standard.
mean, the ones that are on duty.
Well, when a nurse comes on, especially with the patient, if she is a practical nurse, do they tell the patient that she's a practical nurse?
They know before they're called that they're getting a practical
Well,
nurse.
that's right.
We don't
Usually
accept
they
the
tell
practical
the
nurse
family,
unless the
but the
patient knows
patient
they're
may be
getting
sick
one.
enough that he may
Why
have
don't
to
you
be
put that in
called.
the form of a motion? Make that a form of a motion, which is the standard.
Well, you ready to vote on this?
Move the question.
Question's been called. You want to read this motion
I'd
again?
vote on something like that.
I move that the practical nurse be granted permission to wear the full standard uniform, which includes the white uniform, white cap, white hose, white shoes, and proper bags. The
You got to get the proper bag.
The licensed practical
That's-
is different.
I seconded to get it on the floor. Yeah.
I'm not either.
Move that the licensed practical nurse be granted permission to wear the full standard uniform, which includes the white uniform, white cap, white hose, white shoes, and proper bags. The practical nurse bag. Those in favor, please say, raise your hand, excuse me. Please raise your hand, I think I can see that. No one in favor?
One that made the vote.
Well, how about the second?
You don't have to vote for it.
Those opposed?
Madam Chairman,
We'll contact this,
could I make a motion?
yes, yes.
I would like to, move that, we suggest to the, practical nurses that, they develop a distinctive, uniform, let them do it themselves, and, just so it's distinctive, and if they adopt it, well then, I believe it will probably be.
With an emblem or a pen or something saying practical nurse on
Just to be white.
included in the uniform.
You want it to be white?
Well, I'm gonna let them decide what kind.
They'll
Just
do
so
it.
they do like
They
it.
can have it.
They can have an emblem, like all public nurses could have an
say
emblem on their sleeve, they
white.
could say,
Yeah.
have an emblem and say
I
practical
wouldn't care if
nurse.
I'm wearing hose, if they was wearing an emblem on their uniform,
Yeah.
saying practical nurse, so that everybody would know.
Nope.
That's right, and no
That's
cap,
right.
they can have white hose as far as I'm concerned.
Statement
They
of
have a
practical
uniform
nurse.
and say practical
Without a
nurse.
cap.
In fact, I don't approve of wearing the cap any place, whether they're in a home or where they are.
Do you know of any nurses that have red bands on their head? Do you know of any school that has red bands on their head?
Not right offhand, I don't.
With the ring?
Two little red bands on their head.
She says that's Grady.
And Chattanooga has a green band.
Say a word during the lesson. She says,
You gonna read it?
Well, let's see how it sounds.
well, you know, nobody would know.
I move that we suggest to the Practical Nurse that the Practical Nurse Association develop a distinctive uniform and present the suggestion to the Board of Directors of 5th District GS&A for approval.
Well, I'd put the practical nurse.
Distinctive uniform including it, wouldn't it?
No, she doesn't want it that way, that's her motion.
Well, I'd like to see what they would come up with. It would have to be something different to be distinctive, but to let them develop something that they would consider attractive, that would still be distinctive.
No, we can turn it down, but
I think you save a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I do.
Tell them
You
they
don't
can go
want
to all this trouble. Tell them to develop
That's
a
what I was
uniform.
thinking.
They could wear white hose if they develop a uniform with their insignia on an emblem.
would you want a Georgia State uniform? Ms. White says they have a national. They have a national uniform.
Well, that could be,
How about a, I don't know, but,
You could say,
Maybe they would
adopt the name.
huh? The school has a uniform.
Yeah. Have in Georgia about 35.
Gives them a lot of leeway.
It looks like it would be any white uniform as long as it had an emblem.
Correspondence, you understand it coming in.
The emblem state practical nurse, not abbreviations too. I think that's the problem, abbreviations.
Yeah, an emblem saying practical nurse.
It could be long towers.
or insignia that's definite.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yes, it should be low power.
What it on top of that? Then we don't want everything else white.
I'm trying to think of a hospital, but I couldn't think of a hospital, you know.
That white stock in the
They've
bottom.
been asking for this, for years, on that good. You know, for white, number cap.
Is there a second to this motion? We suggest, I move that we suggest the Practical Nurse Association develop a distinctive uniform or insignia that is definite and present the suggestion to the Board of Directors, if this is GSNA for approval.
So we We're not saying yes or no about the white hose.
Read again, Miss Garland.
When you say,
I move that we suggest the Practical Nurse Association develop a distinctive uniform or insignia that is definite and present the suggestion to the Board of Directors, 5th District, CSNA, for approval.
Would the word with there rather than or be better?
With insignia. All right. Who wants to say?
No, that's can't discuss.
Now, is there further discussion on this motion?
Well, I think it's still indented, they wouldn't know what to do about white
Come up
hoses.
with an all-white uniform.
Yeah, they will, I think we should just tell them what we would like.
But it would not be distinctive. Sister wears her uniform with a distinctive.
But
whatever
you
that
can
is.
what you mean.
Emory has a cap that no other hospital wears, and St. Joseph's graduates have a different. It's distinctive. There's certain things that are the same, but I know a St. Joseph's nurse when I see one. I know a Georgia Baptist nurse when I see one, and you know.
They're identifying anyway.
with the cap on?
Some of them I do. No.
Isn't that sort of the problem though, that some of these practical nurses have a cap that's so similar to to the other hospitals, and therefore you do not know if it's a practical nurse or a registered nurse. So I think the problem should be, I think, even talking in the schools, go to the vocational schools that have practical nursing, because that seems to be the problem. They let each of these students have a cap, and they might be 34 different ones, and therefore we don't know whether it's a registered nurse or a practical nurse. So if we had one cap that would denote a I don't mean cap really, but one thing to denote that the person is a practical nurse.
Just so it's distinctive.
Well, that's,
And
I think
then we
that's the
could-
key, cap, that's what the nurses don't have a
And
Well, how come the other school, I think the problem has come there.
That key cap is what they do.
Well, there's some of the schools of nursing use that cap.
What you call
Madam
it?
President,
Take
if
care.
this motion is passed, it will delay any action for several months. So I think it's a good, and you find out what they're thinking and what they're going to do. And then in the meantime, the hospitals could decide whether they, at the end, would let them wear the white hose, a uniform, no cap, and an insignia saying practical nurse with their name, not initials. But, and when it came for approval, it could go back as the board saying so-and-so. And it would just delay it for an indefinite period, which I think is a good thing to delay.
Yeah, I'll offer substitute motion.
Well, Lord, you may read it, yes.
That we suggest that the practical nurses, 5th District, wear any white uniform with emblem or pin stating practical nurse, then they may wear white hose but no cap.
Well,
What about that?
you like this one any better?
I like this one.
That one wouldn't delay action, Miss Wells would delay action.
That's true. They just might come up with something distinctive, you know. That's right. Give them a
Maybe the
chance.
board could ask the hospitals to require the names with practical nurses, the pin with practical nurses on it with the names. And the hospitals would be glad to cooperate in that way.
Well, I remember when I first went to Emory to work, they gave me a little leaflet, and it told how RNs were to dress, and how LPNs were to dress. And it distinctly said that they should not wear white hose, they should wear street hose and no cap. Now that's what they handed me when I went there to work. And it told how RNs should dress. No,
What did
they
the
don't
aides
take an
wear?
action on it now because they come in now with white hose.
What do the aides?
The aides wear something with an insignia on it, says Emory University aide.
And they wear dark hose. They wear dark colored hose.
You guys has nursing assistant on them now, but of course with the uniform that's developed there is no cap.
And no white hose.
Nobody wears white.
Would you like to vote on Ms. Wells' motion?
Move the question.
You vote on the substitute motion first?
We didn't have a second.
I second.
You second the substitute?
No, Ms.
Oh, her Ms. Wells didn't second this,
I
the
made a motion,
substitute, and we didn't have a second to the substitute. Question's been called on Ms. Wells' motion. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
No.
Would the opposition raise your hand? 3.
At least I'd delay it for a while. I've to come back to the board.
I believe this motion is carried.
If I could just make a little explanation, my thinking is not to tell people what they have to do, but let them develop something on their own.
I've been in favor of it, said anything but white, but that's, they're gonna come up with white.
We can turn that.
You don't have to accept it.
It doesn't have to be accepted, it's just delayed enough.
Then we can reject.
We have another communication, I do, that came to me from Nell Bradley. If you recall, Nell Bradley was a little nurse, white hair, real white hair, who at the meeting on the 11th raised a point and read Robert's Rules of Order to us. I'll ask the secretary if she'll read this, please.
Dear board members, I desire to call your attention to Article 10, 15, Bylaws of 5th District Georgia State Nurses Association, as amended September 13th, 1962. I request that you immediately appoint a registered parliamentarian to attend all meetings of 5th District GSNA, and also all meetings of 5th District GSNA Executive Board. The present legal advisor employed by the 5th District GSNA, though courteous and generous in expressing his opinions concerning the business activities of the 5th District GSNA, nevertheless has let it be known, both through his correspondence published in the Meter and verbally at the special meeting of the 5th District GSNA on April the 29th, that he is not employed as a parliamentarian for the 5th District GSNA. Sincerely, Nell Bradley, RN.
Following through on this letter, I took it over to Mr. McClellan, since it definitely states that he expressed in the meeting verbally that he was not employed as a parliamentarian, and I thought that it was with the understanding that he would serve as legal counsel and parliamentarian, that as Mr. Jackson was, that he was employed under these same conditions. And in answer to this letter, Mr. McClellan has written, and I'll have to let you read this too, in case I might leave something out.
Ms. Vance Garland, President, 5th District GSNA, Atlanta, Georgia. Dear Ms. Garland, you have exhibited to me letter dated May 6, 1965, addressed to the Executive Board of GSNA and signed by Nell Bradley, RN, with reference to which you have asked for my comment. First, I find no reference in any of my correspondence with you or anyone else to the effect that I was not employed as parliamentarian. Neither do I recall making any statement on this matter at the April 29th meeting. In order to make my position entirely clear, I will reiterate, thank you, that I have said to you and others no more than one occasion that when originally employed as legal advisor in 1963, I did not understand at that time that in this capacity I would also be expected to act as parliamentarian. Since then, I have been advised that acting as parliamentarian was one of my duties as contemplated by the board all along. Certainly, I will say again, as I have every time the question has been discussed, that I have no objection whatsoever, and am perfectly willing to serve as parliamentarian as part of the duties of which I am compensated by the association. I find that this is consistent with and borne out by the history of the position which I now hold as reflected by the record. Colonel Franklin Chambers was the first lawyer to hold the position. Is that Chalmers? He was succeeded by Mr. Jim Jackson, who served until his death some several months before I was asked to serve. Both Colonel Chalmers and Mr. Jackson did in fact serve as legal advisors and parliamentarians, and were so designated from time to time in official records and correspondence. So far as Article 10, Section 15 of the bylaws is concerned, your executive board is in compliance. As stated, I am willing to continue to act as parliamentarian as I have in the past. However, please know that I am fully cognizant of the fact that the board is free to act upon my employment at any time and in any manner it may see fit. With kindest personal regards and best wishes, sincerely, J. Ralph McCullum.
May I make a motion, Ms. Long, that we, retain Mr. McClellan as our parliamentarian until after this, year is up and new officers go in, and then maybe if they want a new parliamentarian, they could get another one. But I think Mr. McClellan is a legal advisor, a legal counsel for this organization. He would not, wish to give any wrong advice to any individual, any group. I think that he would be up and above par. He is a representative of this county. I think that he has a good reputation. I think this would be almost an insult to him at this time. We have had in the past two jobs assigned to him then as legal counsel and parliamentarian. We paid him for one. I don't know if the association could get a registered parliamentarian to serve free. You would certainly have to pay them so much per meeting.
We've always paid a parliamentarian.
Yes,
We
I'm
paid
sure.
Mr. Jackson, we paid Mr. Chalmers.
That's right, and you paid Mr.
And,
Jackson, Mr. McClellan.
Mr. Jackson.
No, we
Oh.
had a woman
Oh,
when I first started.
yes.
You've
that
always
was
had to
back
pay
in the
Mr.
early-
McClellan.
Early 40s.
So I see no reason
We,
why we should change it this.
I don't know when Mr. McClellan, when's his time up?
He was appointed September last year.
Last year.
Yes, after the new board meeting.
I move then that we
He was
still move
employed
that
as
we
legal
maintain,
counsel, wasn't he?
I move that we have Mr. McClellan as our parliamentarian.
Well, I maintain that he is no parliamentarian. He told us himself he was not a
He could
parliamentarian.
serve as a
He had not been
parliamentarian.
hired.
He would serve just as well as a parliamentarian as if this body agreed to, we could say we would like to have Miss Mace as a parliamentarian. That doesn't mean she's a parliamentarian.
Let's find
We
someone
do.
who is parliamentarian.
And
Why,
Mr.
sir,
Mr.
why have
McClellan
two
in the, meeting on April the,
We need somebody who knows
29th.
parliamentary
would
procedures.
not
I
give
don't
an
think you
opinion
know.
one
I
way or
think
the
any
other
lawyer
on
would know
a matter.
parliamentary
I don't
procedures.
think
They
so.
don't.
They
don't.
They
They
don't.
don't.
I think they
They
do.
don't.
They'd be as qualified as some of these club women.
Motion over there. move that Mr. McClellan be appointed as parliamentarian for the remainder of his term for 5th District GFNA. Is there further discussion?
That isn't a reappointment, is it?
No,
Is that
no,
just the,
continuation, you see, somebody wants.
well, that says
To
appoint,
There's
hadn't he
appoint,
already
though.
been appointed?
It means retain.
Well, that's retain, whatever word it
We
takes,
have
that's
in the
within there.
minutes that the executive secretary of Georgia State Nursing Association negotiated with him to fill this position and along with the state. Since he was employed entirely on her advice, and because she was familiar with what had gone on ahead with Mr. Jackson and Mr. Chalmers. Nobody else knew as much about it as she did. And so she recommended that this person be employed. And Ms. right, Ms. Dixon?
I didn't get the
I'll tell you
name.
what, happened, that when Mr. Jackson stepped, the board asked me to look around for someone.
That's right.
I called Mr. Berlin Moore, who is the son of Judge Berlin Moore. And Mr. Moore recommended Mr. McClellan as legal advisor for the Georgia State Nurses Association, not as a parliamentarian. The Georgia State Nurses Association employed him as legal counsel. While we haven't used him, and he is the representative, legal counsel now for the Georgia State Nurses Association.
And you had
Now-
used it just recently, haven't you?
Paper,
You've used it just recently for the Georgia State Nurses Association.
no,
Oh, I thought you had
No.
seen it.
I have been seeing.
Uh-huh.
And at the time I went to see him, he stated that he was not a parliamentarian and was surprised when you called on him in the January meeting as a parliamentarian, that he was not a parliamentarian and would not say that he was a parliamentarian, and he did say that in his office. Now, when the district, I don't remember about just how we brought up, but anyway, the district employed him too as legal counsel. And there's a lot of difference between legal counsel and a parliamentarian. Mr. Jackson at the April meeting, when called on to give an opinion, stated that he would not give a ruling one way or the other. I think that Mr. Jackson has demonstrated that he isn't, McClellan is, has demonstrated that he is not a parliamentarian and does not know the bylaws of the 5th District GSA.
And he did state at the meeting, April 29th, that he did not know that he was employed, I had it in my minutes, and that he would not make a ruling either way.
That's right. That's what I heard. And I hardly see how a person can represent
said
an
he would not make a
association if he's
legal
not
ruling.
qualified to give an opinion one way or the other.
Parliamentary ruling and a legal ruling are two distinct different things.
That's right.
He said,
We had
I
a
will
meeting
not
on
make
that
a
day
legal
asking
ruling.
for a ruling on parliamentary procedure.
Well,
He would not rule
that.
whether the meeting was legal or illegal.
Well, that's
Well, how long was he employed for?
just a year at a time.
I mean,
Is that
Yeah.
appointment
When
until
is it?
September?
Well, that's all that we need to keep him.
Is that
Just
appointment
to
to
make it
September?
But September, a new board will come in and new president.
Is that
If
appointment?
you'll please ask for the floor, I'll be glad to grant it, but the undertone cannot be taken by the tape or the secretary, I don't believe.
Yeah, is his reappointment in September?
That's right.
In September. I move that Mr. Jack,
Now, we have a motion here. You want to offer, sir?
yes. Well, I think I'm saying the same thing.
Well, I believe you are too. Until his term, for the remainder of his term, which is till September. This is
That's right.
what you,
We have no more meetings in the district until September.
that's right.
I move, I'll go along with the motion.
Then the new board will come in, the new president will come in, and they get down parliamentarian, because he will
I
appoint.
speak against the motion because I don't think he really understands our bylaws, and although he is a good attorney, I'm sure legally he knows what he's supposed to do, but I don't think he understands the bylaws of 5th District GFNA, and that he understands what has gone on in our meetings, because I talked to him after the meeting, and I think we need to secure someone who is
a parliamentarian and who is qualified to be one, and that we pay to be one, to attend all meetings and tell us what we're doing right or wrong, and what is right and what isn't wrong. I think we're in a mess. I think we need somebody to get us out of it.
I agree with you.
Should.
I agree on that. I think that
If we'd had one, it wouldn't have been this big now.
I was speaking to Mr. Clellan further this year, that he declared himself in the communication forum. He's an honest gentleman stating his limitations and declaring himself. And I do not believe any parliamentarian or nor legal advisor is less than it. He was best to serve, and any person must acquaint himself with the bylaws. I speak from faith.
Madam Chairman, he's already employed as legal counsel, but I don't consider him a parliamentarian, so since he told me personally too, he was not the parliamentarian. Another thing, we went to him, we wrote him a letter. He did not give us the courtesy to give us a reply to our letter. I maintain that we went through the proper channels and got nothing. That's why we turned elsewhere. We were forced to turn elsewhere. So we had a perfect right to invite, and since we are a constituent of GSNA, we had a perfect right to invite the state parliamentarian and the president to be present at any meeting we wanted them to come to. We had a perfect right to seek legal counsel elsewhere because he didn't show us the courtesy to even answer our letter. And another thing, I'd like to know why that letter wasn't published in the meeting. It would have put a different light on if all correspondence, the letter that we sent to Mr. McClellan and went to him in person about, we never even got a reply.
You didn't send us a copy of, that's been the problem, may I state, that
I
people
did send a copy, didn't you
communication.
receive a copy?
Yes,
And I sent the president a copy too.
Madam Chairman, I believe that any person other than a member of 5th District would have to be invited by the district, not by an individual member. I could have come down to the meeting with my lawyer, who I think is just about the best in Atlanta, and he could have been involved. Miss Arthur could have had her lawyer. Every nurse could have had her lawyer. We would have been in a jam down there with just lawyers and no
But he
form.
gave us no
And
reply
furthermore than
whatsoever.
that, I think that any communication to Mr. McClellan that was not sent through the proper channels should have been ignored by Mr. McClellan and accepted by him as personal mail. And I do not think that you under any obligations to publish anything that did come to you.
It did come to her.
Apparently not.
Back to the motion of attending in September, I am just asking the question, why would we need another parliamentarian if we're not going to have a, before September, if we're not having a meeting before
That's right.
September?
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
the
Why
question
just
I
money
had.
for nothing?
That's right. That's the question I had coming.
Be some money spent for nothing, really, because we don't have a meeting until then.
May I answer that?
But we'll need one at the end.
Not right now. Let me come back.
May I make one statement now? I'm not entering in this. What I'm stating here is a fact. Before Mr. Jackson died, he was called from many, many meetings at various and odd times. And it was understood and relayed to Mr. Jackson, also to us, that no one should contact him unless it came through the 5th District headquarters. Now, Elizabeth knows that to be a fact, that nothing to the legal counsel is official unless it comes through the 5th District headquarters. So we did not have it, we did not know it. And I'm sure that we would have published it in the meter if we had. Now, on the book, I gave Mr. McClellan, now I'm not in the argument one way or the other, I'm just giving you a fact. We put on the agenda, appoint parliamentarian on there. The word council was used because it sounded better. At the bottom of the page on this book, we got off all of Mr. Jackson's rulings so the new parliamentarian would have it so anybody who wanted to come in there could see all rulings. And underneath there, Ms. Dixon has stated definitely, and it was printed in the meter, Mr. Jackson, 5th District parliamentarian, legal advisor to GSNA.
So when that was given to Mr. McClellan, he referred to it, then he realized that that was what he was employed for.
Mr. Jackson and Mr. Chalmers were employed purely as parliamentarians. We had no use for any legal counsel back in those years. In fact, we've had no use for any legal counsel until the past 2 years, or the past year or two. I've never known that the 5th District ever go in for legal counsel. If the district needs legal counsel, they go to the Georgia State Nurses Association, who does have legal counsel. But it's never been necessary for the 5th District to ever seek legal counsel. Whatever is legal business in this in a district would certainly be the responsibility of the state association, since it is the mother organization. Mr. Jackson served as parliamentarian. He met with us on several occasions when the registry was set up with the Practical Nurse Association, which did require some legal work at that time, because they were adding in the Practical Nurse Bureau on this side and the professional registry on this side, which necessitated a city license for the professional registry to carry on the business of the nurses' professional registry. Therefore, we have to pay a city license for the practical nurse, but we do not have to pay it on the professional nurses' registry. So that was the only real piece of law work that he did for us. Now, he, of course, would interpret the bylaws for us as a parliamentarian, but that's been the only piece of business that he ever carried in the district that was anyway in regards to legal work, was in setting up the registry.
Then that brought out the point that Mr. McClellan was employed as a parliamentarian to succeed Mr. Jackson in the
I think in the minutes that you
out.
stated, and you told me that the letter was written, and Mr. McClellan also stated that the letter was written to him from the 5th District as legal counsel.
Legal counsel.
And the legal counsel, of course, would take care of legal work, and the parliamentarian would take care of parliamentarian work.
It seems we just sort of a victim of something that started, and we just sort of stayed in a pattern without thinking.
We don't need a legal
seriously.
counsel. We do need a parliamentarian in the district, and I believe it would certainly help us over many a pitfall to have a
He
good.
agrees that he will be a parliamentarian, and I think he's had enough of the bylaws.
He has not ruled us right on the bylaws.
But then
He has not ruled us correctly on the bylaws.
Well, he has had the book,
He's had the book, but he surely hasn't studied it,
and so.
because there's a lot of errors in his, certainly in his opinions to the president have been certainly not according to our bylaws, because every procedure for bylaws is written in the bylaw book. And if we had followed our bylaws in carrying out the responsibility of the bylaws, it's in the bylaw book, and we did not need legal counsel to take it.
But don't you think that probably a lot of our confusion has been brought about by the fact, too, that the state parliamentarian has given confusing information on the things she's ruled on?
She has not given it.
She sure has done.
No, she has not.
I know she has.
No, she has.
But again, getting back to the motion, this is
Yeah,
not
this
happy
is
in the
germane,
motion, is
really.
it? I mean, that we are ready to, we're talking about voting. It's right until September.
That's right.
September, we would have to have all this discussion about whether we
Whether or
would
not to have
reappoint
counsel.
him or not.
I move the question.
Question's been called, do you want the motion read again? I move that Mr. McClellan be retained as parliamentarian for the remainder of his term in 5th District, USA. Moved by Ms. English, seconded by Ms. May.
He's already there.
Be retained instead of replaced.
Nobody else wanted to be replaced yet.
Well,
He's already employed, and
this
there's
was
no
just
motion
called,
at
it's
all.
not
Yes.
to the people.
Those in favor, please raise your hand.
don't even have in this motion at all. He was already hired for the year.
Well, but this lady here seems to think that, let's see, that you immediately appoint a registered parliamentarian to attend all meetings of this district, yes, and also all meetings of this district. So, if there's any question about the parliamentarian, his ability.
We don't have to appoint, she's just one member in this thing.
Well, I know, but we have to answer.
She also has sent another one today to the secretary to read.
Before we get away from this parliamentarian, may I make a motion?
Yes.
I move that we do have, for the September meeting, a parliamentarian for the annual meeting. Since Mr. McClellan is
registered
yes,
Yeah,
a
I was
registered parliamentarian for the
He has
district
this
meeting.
on his calendar, he's planning to be there as parliamentarian.
He isn't, I mean, he done. Couldn't have the state one there. You make, like, have the state one.
This is a plea for a parliamentarian from the same person. Do you want this read?
She sent a request asking it to be read and also wanted it published in the Leader.
Miss,
We'll have a
I
meeting
move that
September.
this be filed for information, because if she had, this information should have been sent to the president in time for her to review it before the meeting.
She only got it completed today.
It doesn't have to be read. She should have gotten it there earlier, so the president could have.
Madam President, I think that really that we are getting away from the
Yes,
from the feelings of the members of the association. This association doesn't just belong to a few of us. I think it belongs to all of us. And I do think that we are getting away from the feeling that we all need the unity, and we don't need this dissension in the groups. If we've got one member in this organization who is disgruntled, she's worried more to get her goodwill of the organization than it is to go out here and get 6 who will come in here and be just members. This person is interested in the organization, or she wouldn't have written this. I don't know what it is. But I do believe that we ought to pay more attention to these people. If it is a criticism, maybe it is a criticism that we need. Criticism helps us sometimes. And I do feel that we are pushing things aside too lightly with our members, and that we are creating ill will amongst the members of the association. And I am not mad with anybody. I want the things really treated in proper respect.
And I feel if she's gone to this much trouble that we ought to hear what she has to say.
I'd like to say something in regard to what Elizabeth says too. And I have a high regard for Miss Dixon and her opinions. But in a couple of meetings that we have been to in this building, some nurses have made it very clear, and I heard this statement said, and some other nurses heard it said too. And the nurses, it says, I hate public health nurses. Now, as long as we have that type of feeling in this organization, then you may rest assured that there will never be any peace and harmony. I do not hate any group of nurses. We cannot do without any group of nurses.
That's right.
One is just as important in giving patient care as the other. And if people are going to carry their emotions on their sleeves all the time and work for disharmony, I don't see how we will ever make a go. I too say that running out and getting people just to be joiners is no good. And some of the people that should be in here working are staying out because there's so much bickering and carrying on in these meetings, and I think it's time it was
This
stopped.
bickering has just started here in just recently, and we have had meetings that certainly in the district. I don't know when we've had as much upheaval as we've had here in the past.
Yes,
Oh,
they
and
have. I have known them to fight, and I knew when
Ms. Mace, we
Miss
had them back in the
Bishop.
early 40s. When I first came into the meeting, into this district in the early 40s, Yes, I went to meetings. That was a
You
disgraceful.
asked Miss Bishop
It
why
was
she doesn't
disgraceful,
come to
but
Fifth
we have
District, why
really,
she
this
doesn't.
has been.
You asked
It's
Miss
not the
Bishop.
first.
And it's not going
It's
to
gonna
be
be
the
the last
last,
one,
let me
no.
put it that way.
I was gonna say the same thing. But we haven't had so
I
much.
have
to-
seen them so angry on the floor that I thought they were going to be hair pulling among the women.
Well, I'm gonna tell
saw
you
her
another
one
thing,
day.
though.
And
Right.
you people, and Miss Wells has been to those meetings and
We deal with
And you have-
personalities before we deal with issues.
But that was
That's
back
all.
in the,
Exactly.
that
So
was
this
back
is
in the
just
early
today.
part. No, it's not just today. But we
No,
have
I
gone
think
through a
it's
year.
about time that we get
I
together.
agree on
Yes, I
that,
can-
and I
I-
certainly
that's
do
the way I
agree.
feel about
Yes,
it.
I do too.
But it's
Sure.
just,
It's
this
bad.
is not the first
Oh,
time.
no,
It's
no,
not
it's
going to
not.
be the last unless we change and
That's
look at
right.
things just a little bit different.
Well.
May we have a report of the secretary? No, wait a minute, do you have a report other than the one that
We don't read the minutes for the last 50, 60.
they were circulated? The minutes were circulated.
No, well, they don't know, you don't do that at the board.
Oh, we do that in a minute.
Madam Chair, I suggest that we hear Miss Bradley's second letter.
Those in, is there second?
I second it.
Those in favor of hearing Ms. Bradley's, second letter, please raise your hand.
Personalities, Miss Mason.
Okay, 11 for.
Let's hear.
All right.
I don't know, Miss Fred.
We have several letters here.
Ms. Bradley's second one is the one that they voted for.
Plea for a parliamentarian. Bylaw of the 5th District GSNA, Article 10, Section 15, states that the executive board shall appoint a parliamentarian. Many of the members of the 5th District GSNA are not fully informed on the privileges, requirements, and restrictions contained in the 5th District GSNA bylaws and in Robert's Rules of Order revised. The 5th District GSNA needs a parliamentarian. Conclusions drawn from information published in the March and April meters and actions witnessed at the special meeting, which was called on April 29, 1965, of the 5th District GSNA, warrant the opinion that the 5th District would be benefited by the services of a registered parliamentarian to be appointed by the Executive Board, 5th District GSNA, who should be present at all meetings of 5th District GSNA and all meetings of the Executive Board, 5th District GSNA. 1. At the January 14, 1965 regular meeting of the 5th District GSNA, where the vote on proposed changes in the bylaws, presented by the chairman of the Committee on Bylaws, was defeated, a parliamentarian, if present, foreseeing the proposed changes in the bylaws was again presented to the members assembled to have action taken upon them. Official notice, parenthesis, stated in the March meter. The proposition was at that time null and void. The action was illegal, and therefore when the meeting adjourned, it was still null and void. On April the 29th, the members of the 5th District GSNA convened in response to a notice published in the April meter for a special meeting. The notice was signed by the president of 5th District GSNA. The occasion offered an excellent forum for discussing business and other points of interest to the members, but it was not in order to vote upon amendments to the bylaws of the 5th District at this meeting. Since it was a special meeting, bylaws in the 5th District may be amended only at regular and annual meetings. Very soon, the floor became an arena for the third bout with the ill-starred proposed changes in the bylaws, which appeared in the null and void investiture, which it had acquired on January the 14th. It departed as it arrived, still wearing its null and void cloak. After rising first on 3 different occasions, I was finally permitted to be the last speaker on the 3rd round. I was thankful for this opportunity to speak. I rose and said, Madam Chairman, I wish to read from Robert's Rules of Order, revised, page 156, number 36, refer referring to reconsideration. Beginning with line 6, under 36, I read, "It can be made only on the day of the vote to be reconsidered was taken." And on to the period on line 11, thinking that I was extending a courtesy to the chair and the members by reading the point of order from Robert's Rules of Order revised and leaving the chair to present the situation to the members, I took my seat without making a motion to reject reconsideration of proposed changes on the bylaws, because its status at that time was not legal, only to learn that the chair had completely ignored my call of attention to a point of order. The illegal question was presented for action to be taken upon it. Reference to democracy and democratic functioning was made by 2 speakers. My understanding is, and has always been, that the Georgia State Nurses Association was founded upon democratic principles, and that the 5th District, as a constituent of the state organization, is in conformity with it as regards to democracy. Recently, the bylaws of the 5th District, on 3 occasions to my knowledge, have been disregarded and votes taken on matters that were out of order. This is an unfortunate state of affairs for the 5th District GSNA. If such inattention to observing the bylaws is permitted to continue, we may find ourselves as an organization degenerating into a mass of people under tyrannical rule. I stand for democratic observance of bylaws in the 5th District GSNA, and I request, in conformance with Article 10, Section 15 of the 5th District GSNA bylaws, that a parliamentarian be provided to be present at all meetings of the 5th District GSNA, and also at all meetings of its executive board. Nell Bradley, RN, 5th District GSNA.
I thought there were 2 things that he did.
Well, this was her, you read the other one.
I read the letter that was written to the
I
body.
have 2 other things here concerning parliamentarian, letters people have sent. One is an attorney I did, Pauline Cousins. This is another member of GSNA. You want those read, ma'am?
Miss May, we haven't heard from you.
I'll read the district's report first. This is for April 1965. Brought forward from March, $4,928.87. Receipts, membership dues, $4,257.75. American Journal of Nursing subscriptions, $33. Total, $4,290.75. March check, there was a check redeposited, $32.50, making, and with the 4,000 that was brought forward and the 4,209.75.32, there's $9,252.12. Disbursements, rent, $63.50, salary, $384.37, phone, $51.77, postmaster, $100, supplies, $36.36, American Journal nursing subscriptions, $35, internal revenue, $240.06, GSNA, $3,172.50, miscellaneous, $61, total, $4,144.56. Bounce, $5,107.56. 2 checks returned, insufficient funds, $65. Clearing bank, $5,042.56. Checks out, $720.99. Agrees with bank statement, $5,700.
3 checks out. 3927 checks, $20. 3929, $686.25. 3930, $14.74. Total $720.99. Obligations to the government, the withholding tax $47.40. Social Security $32.62. Total $80.02. State of Georgia withholding $7.68. Total $87.70. I move that this report be accepted.
Second.
Moved and seconded, the treasurer's report be accepted. Is there discussion, questions?
Madam Chairman, may I just ask for this for information because I don't understand it? What is it we pay to the Internal Revenue?
That's what you take out of my check, my salary check.
Social Security.
It's taken out of withholding tax and Social Security, and we pay it quarterly. And the big checks you see outstanding usually are for membership. The $600 one is for membership to the GSMA on that, in case you want to know.
Is there other questions?
There's a new ruling on the Georgia State withholding. You can't send it in now until it, I believe, totals $18. Anyhow, the quarterly reports used to have to go in at $5.76, but now you have to wait a while.
Are you ready to vote? Question. Those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Thank you. Motion carries. D, Nurses Professional Register Financial Report. This was from March 1965. Previous bank balance, $6,699.10. Membership dues and bill heads, $5,643.10. Total, $12,342.20. Disbursement salary, $1,348.30. The fund insurance company, $10. Young, Garber and Company auditors, $260. Employment, Social Security Agency, $10.96. State of Georgia Income Tax Unit, $19.46. District Director, Internal Revenue Unit, $347.28. Rent, Henry Grady Hotel, $125. Southern Bell Telephone and Telegraph Company, $49.25. Total, $2,170.25. Disbursement this month, $2,170.25. Cleared outstanding checks, $1,138.25. Total, $3,308.50. Balance in bank, $12,342.20. Disbursement, $3,308.50. Total, just the total balance in the bank, $9,033.70. The outstanding checks, $716.31. The balance, bank balance of March the 31st, 65 was $9,000.
Book here.
Well, let me have it. The reason why I can't read it, Miss Cooper brought it over.
If that's the March one, that's the last one.
And my hand was full of weeds, and I put my thumb right on that spot. Which I'm very sorry. I'll go back. Bank balance, March the 31st, Breeze with a checkbook, and this is the balance in the bank, $9,033.70. I move that this report be accepted. Is there discussion? Well, it's a day discussion, but let me, after the last report I read in the March meeting at the, here at St. Joseph, a private duty nurse from St. Joseph called me the next night and was questioning me, why did the official register, it was the auditor's report I read that they were questioning, why did the official register send so many telegrams? Which to me was a stupid thing. All of our telephone bills come telephone and telegraph, and that's the way they had listed it, and that's the way I read it. I read what's on the bill. It does not say that that amount of money was, and that's what I told this person. I said, now you go back and tell the people that were present when this discussion was there at St. Joseph, tell them to look at their own telephone bill and see how it's listed. That there were no long distance calls. If they were, people paid for them.
Well, that makes the advertising in the yellow pages. That's included in that monthly list.
Those in favor of accepting the report, please say aye. So I didn't know whether any of you people were present at that discussion or not, but I wanted to make it clear. Let's look at your own telephone bill and know how they come. Thank you, Ms. Manning. We have a report from the executive session.
Well, I'm gonna make it very brief and give you our membership up to date. We have, in the CESR section 7, EAT, 101, administrators 204 plus 1, general duty 144 plus 2 associates, occupational health 41, public health 118, private duty 409 plus 2, making a total of 1,024 with 5 associates. That is as of May the 1st. Now, since that time, we have received 10 renewals. We don't send them in weekly now, from now on, and that gives us a total of 1,034 plus 5, and the sections will get their checks based on that, the 10 cents per member plus the 15. We've been busy in the office, many activities carried on, the bookkeeping is up to date, and we've been, of course, working on our programs recently.
Membership's up over last year.
No, we just won more than we were this time last year. I'm glad you brought that out. I looked to see because we were 200 ahead earlier. We got a good start, but we had 1,033 last year on May the 5th. So we still need some help. 1,034 plus 5. I have 10 to send in that came in this week.
Be optimistic, you're one ahead.
One ahead. Maybe that's that one disgruntled one.
Ms. Macy, don't have to say finance other than your report. And, you gave membership and credentials. Nominations, Ms. Mahaffey.
I haven't received any.
You will. We have gotten them from all sections and one alumni. And they will be tabulated, you know, of course, through tonight's meeting would be the last time anyone could make a suggestion to be turned over to you. Okay. We send them out, get their permission, and so forth. It'll be sent to you.
Now, set us straight on, this has to be approved by the board before it goes to the meeting?
Well, that's one point that I wanted y'all to decide about that, since we don't have a July meeting. Do you want to send out a referendum vote after you've had your nomination and have the ballot approved by referendum and printed in the meter? You're supposed to have it in September, you see, in time for you to vote on September the 9th. You don't have a board meeting until September the 7th. So we have had an order there that we put the biographical sketches and the pictures. Well, we didn't get many pictures, and we better cut down on the finances for the pictures, but we would like to have the biographical sketches on them, and with your permission, whatever you'd like to do. We'll have to have it by August the 15th to get out in time.
And in order to put it in the meter, we will have to have a referendum vote.
The board is to approve the proposed ballot, as I understand it, according to your manual, it's supposed to.
But excuse me.
Madam President, I want to call attention to the Committee on Nominations. This is the only committee that cannot be interfered with any other person, not even the chair, not even the president of the association can serve with the Committee on Nominations. That's the only committee that is a committee with in its own self.
May I ask a question? If a member is proposed by a group as a nominee, and she happens to be on that committee, she can't serve. Well, that's what I wanted to know.
No, but
All
she
of
can be
these,
nominated
all
on
these
the board.
candidates, these nominees should be going to the chairman of nominations. She's the only person should have this material.
She will be sent that.
And, yes, but it should come to her under, in postage, under mail.
It will.
Not from you, but you've already worked on it. You're working on it for biographical sketches now before the Committee on Nominations gets it, which is not the proper
Supposed to
procedure
come
for
to her
Committee on
first.
Nominations. It should go to the Committee on Nominations. She may not, this committee may not accept all of the, may not need all the names of these people, and some of them may decline between now and September. But these names go to her.
They will.
Then it's the committee. I know. But my point is that that should not be in your hands, just like the nominations that are sent to the Georgia State Nurses Association. I don't see.
Now, where is this written?
That's under nominations. Under Robert's
Well,
rules.
ours is a little,
Robert's rules
ours is
will cover that.
There was something else that we were looking for.
Committee on
It's been
Nominations
quoted
is
about,
closed to anybody, and these nominations go to the chairman of the Committee on Nominations. Then, when these people, this committee works on them, and they request that they.
well, ours have to be back on a certain date. If you look on the manual on that, we have deadlines on that.
That's right, but the Committee on Nominations is the person who determines this.
We will have to, on the state, have it in by
And
July the 1st.
Well, the chairman of the Committee on Nominations, is not supposed to have her name on the ballot, is that right?
That's right.
That's what I tried, I have heard, but I couldn't find that either. I know it's in, the A&A.
Would you put down page 263, 289.
Now, I look at those lists because we looked at all of them, and it doesn't spell that out, I don't believe.
It's in treatment of nominations, and they've got
I
1,
know
2,
in the
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
A&A, it says that I have the
Some of
A&A,
those bars here.
says that if the name of a member of the Committee on Nominations is submitted as a suggested candidate for the ballot of this association with the permission of that member, said member shall resign from the committee.
That's right.
And, but
Yeah,
I
with
couldn't
permission.
find that other.
We said with.
Yeah. Even though the person gives consent for her name to be on the ballot, she's got to resign from the Committee on Nominations. That's right.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Back in my young days.
she can decline again, decide to decline and stay on if
She
she
can
don't.
decline either one she wants to, either on the committee or the ballot, but she can't be on both. This is what is legal, quote legal. But this other, then, I want to tell me that too. she's looking that up. Suppose we go on to the, program committee for program. The program
that well publicized for May the 12th, 1965, 6:30, dedication service of All Saints Episcopal Church had their fine response. We are anticipating a great number of persons to be in attendance, and the award program is 8 years of Academy Baptist on St. Louis. We have a very fine program we've had, and we've had excellent work on tackling career to assist in this activity. Anticipate all of you.
Thank you. Mrs. White, you have a report?
No, I do not have a report because we have not met, but I would like to request from the executive secretary to see if it would be possible for us to get the information, these 3 pieces that she sent me for each member of the registry committee, so that we would know what the physical plant's duties are and what we're supposed to do with them. In other words, I think each member of the registry committee should have this information to study.
You have the bylaws, and then you have the manual, and
I
what
have
other
the
did I, on the
bylaws,
committee
The
functions?
register manual,
All right.
the bylaws of 5th District, and the policies and procedures of the Nurses Professional Registry.
That's 5th District.
5th District.
Let's see, now I got the bylaws, the manual, and what was the other one? Was that the
The
committee?
register manual of the Georgia State Nurses Association.
Yes. I'll have to get some of those from the state. Minimum standards. Minimum standards.
District,
And we will
things
meet
have gotta go,
on
though.
Tuesday, preceding the private duty meeting on Thursday. That's coming. So which I was gonna no, for the registry committee.
Is there anything in these old ones that tell you where? No, this is.
No, I'm talking about the registry.
Which one? Which one?
I want the,
Nomination.
didn't I?
Meet on Tuesday, prior to the,
No, no.
that's what I was trying to think. Private duty meeting on Thursday.
This is from Fairbanks. But it doesn't tell you, when you act on this in your section, it doesn't tell you how to work on where to go from there, does it?
But not from the state.
No, see, when I did them on, but there's nothing in here, because see, when we met at our last meeting, we had, and I had to send, I don't know why I did, but it
We've got a
comes,
report from EACC.
Yes, we had a meeting last Wednesday with 49 present, and the topic was selection of learning experiences for students. We thought it was very well attended, and we've been pleased with the whole year's attendance.
Do you have any recommendations?
No, we had no recommendation.
We had our last meeting out at the DeKalb Convalescent Center, and it was just real nice. The lady was just very gracious to us, and she took us on a tour, and then we did not have a program that night because that was the night that there was the care of the stroke, 24-hour care of the stroke patient at the academy, so we disbanded in time for the people who wanted to go to that. And we've had excellent attendance this past year.
How many?
How many?
We had 49 at our last meeting.
49 at EACC.
Selecting learning experience, the role of the clinical instructor, selecting learning. All right.
Ms. Thornton, did you have 49 children?
They have 12, 21st of
Better than it has been.
How many, 12?
12.
General meeting, 12.
You plan to have a meeting on the 19th
Yes.
too, don't you?
I've got a calendar for you.
What have you all done about the operating room? Do you still have a conference group, a section of the general duty?
From surgery? No, we haven't had that since, sometime last year. Or maybe about the first part of this year.
Well, I know some of the operating room nurses is asking me about it. You probably know who they are from outside, so I'm just wondering. Ms. Sanders, occupational health.
At our April meeting, Dr. Minor, the cardiologist, showed slides and brought the program to us. And then the June one, we are going to meet at the Georgia Training School for Girls and have supper there and get a tour of the facilities out there for the June meeting.
Have your recommendations?
No recommendations.
You have a meeting in April.
About, it's been our average, but I think it was 12. Know what I'm counting again.
I have no idea. It was well attended, but I really have no idea. I would say there were probably 60 or 70, but I really don't know how many. That was on April 8th, I believe.
Private duty reserves, you haven't had your meeting, have you?
We have not had a meeting because they took our day, and I would like to know who had the authority to take a printed date that's on the calendar.
That date was settled by the attorney who could do that, and we thought this was something that you would want.
It wasn't what we asked for. And I don't think the attorney even had the right to take a date that was already printed on the calendar.
Well,
So we are having a postponed meeting this Thursday, and we are having a two-session since some of the afternoon nurses had asked for a morning session that they couldn't come, and it will be held at the Atlanta Red Cross chapter at 10 a.m. Thursday morning, and we'll continue with the afternoon meeting as a 4 o'clock meeting at Coffin Long Nurses Home.
what is the date for this?
This Thursday.
May 13th. Second. Is that Friday? No, Thursday.
Oh, that's all right. As long as it's not Friday. Interesting, he chose
I wonder if there's much.
way up here, but it's cool. It was
We've been asked to announce a workshop by the general duty nurses. And this Thornton, you got some message that they want the 5th district section to do something for this family.
Yes,
I think it's not open to you on the road here, but on those
From standby. And then say what you do.
Kitty. Ms. Noah Waters is the chairman of the state section, general duty. They're having well, this is, the workshop is May 27th, and, is that right?
May the 28th is the day she's having that workshop. She's going to arrive here May the 27th.
Yeah,
Workshop is
she's
May
coming to
28th.
May 27th, workshop's May 28th. The general duty. general duty, section of the GSNA. Ms. Stanback from ANA is coming, and, the topic, I believe, is function standards and,
FS&Q.
function standard qualifications for general duty nurses.
It's the Medical Academy one, all day meeting.
Was that a Friday? Thursday,
We
Friday?
sent out some programs, they should reach, have reached the district today, but I want to workshop.
Function standards and qualifications.
What time is that?
It's all day.
All day?
Yes,
Function standards and qualifications
here Friday.
of what?
Well, let's just see.
Nurses. Murphy nurses. Wait, 28th. Let's see what it is. Thursday, Friday, I know Memorial Day somewhere along that weekend. 28th.
FS&Q workshop.
That's Thursday.
No,
General duty nurses section, Georgia State Nurses Association, participation of NSA, private duty, and EACT and public health. Georgia State Nurses Association. The meeting is May 28, 1965, for all nurses in Georgia, at the Academy of Medicine, 875 West Peachtree. Registration 9 o'clock. And Miss Harriet S. Stanback will be the resource person from ANA. Function standards and qualifications is the name of the workshop. To be held May 28th for all professional registered nurses. I think Ms. Waters has done a lot of work on this to try to get this going, and wants this district nurses to really turn out in full.
Madam President, is there a registration fee for this? Or is it?
Is there, Elizabeth, do you know?
No,
I don't believe
okay,
so.
just in case somebody asks. Thank you.
Yeah, it's open for any.
All nurses, all nurses.
Well, there you go. I may have that day off.
Well, I had 3 others here from the
I didn't count it.
whatever.
You gonna make her work?
What it is, on Hawthorne Day.
Miss Stanback says it's I'll remind you that there will be no July meeting, either board or district. And that completes the agenda I have. Is there any further announcements?
I had 2 letters here that I was asked to read, and may I read it? This membership?
We should get,
You can never take care of that.
This is from Attorney Pauline E. Cousins to the Executive Board of the 5th District GSNA. This is to certify that I have carefully examined the report of the parliamentarian of the Georgia State Nurses Association, Esther Watts, regarding the action taken at the March 11, 1965 meeting, that I have studied the law of Georgia on the question of the binding effect of bylaws on an organization, and I have studied Robert's Rules of Order revised. In my opinion, the action taken at the March 11, 1965 meeting regarding amending the bylaws was null and void as being contrary to law, contrary to provision of the bylaws, and therefore of no effect. In my opinion, the action taken at the April 29, 1965 meeting was also null and void as being contrary to law, contrary to the provision of the bylaws, and therefore of no effect. The bylaws of an association are the governing authority and are binding on all members. In any action taken which is in conflict with the bylaws, even if unanimous, is null and void. Robert's Rules of Order revised, Section 47. I am in complete agreement with the statements set out in the report of Ms. Esther Watts. Respectfully submitted, Pauline E. Cousins, Attorney.
We have another.
This one was from one of the members, to the Executive Board of 5th District GSNA. Dear Mrs. Alford, I request that at the next meeting of the Executive Board, a parliamentarian be appointed as provided for in Article 10, Section 15 of the bylaws of 5th District GSNA, and that the parliamentarian be present at all future called, regular, and annual meetings. Sincerely, Mrs. Ernestine S. Phillips, 5th District GSNA.
Well, I think it's an insult to our president for those letters to go to the secretary instead of the president.
Well, who is Miss Cousins? Is she a
I don't
member?
care who agrees with me, but that's the way I feel.
Well, if she's so interested in this organization, why don't she come to the meeting?
Well, you can't come to the board meeting.
She come to the, she could come to the
This is one
district.
of our members, Miss Phillips.
I'm talking about Miss Cousins. Is she a member?
No, this is.
I don't
she's
think
an
she has
attorney. I
any
don't know
right
if
to
that's
advise
the
us.
same.
We had, Ms. Garland should write her and say, tell her, when we want her advice, we will ask her for it.
Well, I think it's written, Mrs.
It's directed to the 5th District Board.
I think we've taken care of the subject of the parliamentarian for this year. I move we adjourn.
So I was just asked to read it for information. I was asked to read it for information only.
There was something that they were discussing.
I'm glad
I
you read it.
appreciate your, motion to adjourn, but we would like to know what to do about our referendum vote, Ms. Nolan.
I withdraw.
I know that's a privileged motion, and I should
I forgot
say
about
something, but we need to know what Ms. Atkins should do about this. We need to have your ruling.
I just heard you say that was all on our agenda.
Well, is that,
What was the referendum?
on the nomination?
A vote from the board to approve the ballot before it can be printed.
Let me find this. There's so many places in here references
I know.
to it that, let me find it and now.
Well, I believe if we had a parliamentarian,
now,
now
then
then
they
they could enlighten us on it.
That's what I think.
Well, according to the manual, that you do approve the ballot. So if it's all right with you, after the committee meets their report, may we send it to you for referendum vote? And then go ahead and act accordingly.
Probably.
We need it by August the 15th. We will not have a board meeting by that time. You'll have a board meeting on September the 7th. And the meter should be out by that
I
time.
guess you could call a meeting. Have a call meeting, couldn't you?
What are the duties of the, committee on
Have
nomination?
call meetings for other things.
Prepare the
Well, if you
ballot,
want,
with the names submitted from the
Mhm.
section. It's very brief, even, and the other one is very brief.
Well, I thought that the only duty was to prepare, to meet and take the names that are submitted, and then if anyone nominated from the floor can be added to the ballot
That's right.
at the annual meeting. Isn't that correct?
That's right.
That's what the bylaws say. Is there a motion on? I move that the board approve the report of the committee by referendum.
Second motion.
Is there discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Thank you.
You waste your time to fix your report. Bylaws don't say anything about bringing the report of the committee on nomination.
In your manual, it says the executive board is to approve the ballot.
This takes precedence over anything the bylaws say.
Well,
I thought you all just said the bylaws.
Your bylaws do,
So what
and
is
your, your bylaws committee too.
Well, then why don't we do it? Oh, we do away with the
Well,
manual.
there's
What's the
two
manual for?
Well, your
The
manual
names
should state exactly
should
what
go
the
to
bylaws
me.
state.
instead of.
it's in the bylaws that the executive board approve the ballot. It's definitely in your,
And then,
in your bylaws.
What happens to
Under the duties of the executive
That's just-
board.
Well, I guess
each section, didn't they do it?
it'd be like the,
You try to
all
work
right.
with these bylaws and one just.
Listen, right here in this manual, it says that in this manual, it says responsibilities of the executive board. And I'm just reading it,
The
your
careers
committee to
committee.
approve the
No,
ballot
wait,
prepared
the
by the
select.
committee on
those
nomination.
are
My question is that at our section meetings, we were asked to get people to
All
make
sections
suggestions.
were asked,
At
uh-huh.
sections meetings. Now,
And
what
then the-
happens to those suggestions?
The committee meets and they select,
But
the most that are nominated are those that would serve, you know.
when your committee meets, they look over those that were suggested.
That's a discussion. When we met, we sent them on the state level to the chairman of the nominating and to her, I thought.
What?
That's what I knew, but I was.
Yes, and I've got some.
Well, that's what-
I move we adjourn. I'm chairman, probably.
My car's in, my keys are in my car, so my car's in my keys.
That's-
I was through with her at 6 o'clock.
I'd like to see that. And I do.
Covered the new business and the old business.
Well, I'd have a motion I'd like to make. I move that an apology be written to Mrs. Olive Barbin, President GSNA, and Mrs. Esther Watts, Parliamentarian GSNA, from the 5th District Board, GSNA.
Second motion.
I don't know who invited them.
President
Is this
Association
open
never
for-
has to be invited to a district meeting.
Ms. Garland, is this open for discussion?
Miss Garland, would you excuse me?
I'm not
I've got
adverse to sending the letter at all, but we must remember that this board did not, vote for them not to sit in the meeting. The membership voted. And I wonder if this would have to come back to the membership.
To be asked out.
Well, I'm glad
The
you
president of the state association, of course, is always welcomed into a district meeting.
Well, I think
whether
that
she's
maybe nobody
invited or
knew
not
she was there. I
invited.
didn't hardly know she was there.
And I want to call your attention to sometime last year before last, I don't remember, time goes fast, that we were in meeting and we had this person with controversial issue on the floor of 5th District, and she was not a member of the association, and she got up and spoke to the matter that was being discussed. That was very controversial, and it was perfectly all right for this person who was not a member of the association to be speaking about a motion that was on the floor. Now, that, of course, is all out of order.
I thought you called her.
I did.
Yes,
Sure did.
that's what I thought.
Because she was not a member, she was out of
Yes,
order.
you called today.
But there was a lot of feeling then about embarrassment. Well, I think that really the president of the Georgia State Nurses Association being asked out of a district meeting was really, that was
Well, Ms.
embarrassing.
Dixon,
I don't believe
if the
most people knew
president
she
would
was
have been, asked or told, let's just put it told, that she was going to be present, that different light could have been shown. Well, I'm sorry, but I did not know she was in the audience until Ms. Dixon got to her feet and said you can't throw the president out. I did not know she was back there. I could not see who was back there. That's the reason I asked Ms. Atkins to go back and see if there were still people back there that were not on her membership list. And I did not know who was back there.
She was sitting right near the door at the end of
I
the meeting.
couldn't see because there were people coming in and out. I didn't see her come in and there
I
were
didn't
people
either,
saying
but I
they
saw
saw
when I
her
went in.
there.
Spoke to her.
Madam Chairman, didn't Mr. McClellan say in his letter there that you had tried to get the party who made the motion not to do it?
That was the lawyer, because the lawyer had contacted him. The lawyer had contacted, Mr. McClellan, that he had been
And I think the
requested by
motion
his
was directed
citizen to be present. And nobody else's name was used except when he went to Mr. McClellan.
Well, I feel that Mr. McClellan was our, was legal counsel for the state, and he could have prevented that. Because all he had to get up and say that,
That's
right. That president of GSNA, by virtue of her office, could visit any district. And I think it was very discourteous on our part as a district to ask the president out.
But don't you think it was discourteous, though, not letting the president of our district know that
We
she
asked.
was present.
Doesn't she have the privilege to come to any district at any time she wants?
Well, she should let, and should go through our president. Of course she can
Let
come.
me ask you a
But
feeling
she
about
should
this.
have
Well,
contacted
maybe-
our president that she was going to be present.
Let me ask you a feeling about this, because it might happen too, on the
What's
state level. Is that, would you want the Georgia State Nurses Association, if the ANA president should be in the vicinity of one of our state conventions, that she come into one of our state conventions, would you want her asked
Well,
off
we
the floor?
hope she'd have the decency
And,
to contact the president of the state.
She may not know
May
that
not
she's
be
coming
convenient
down.
for her to do it.
feel
I don't,
that, if the
the,
president of Georgia State did not know she was there, there wouldn't be anything that she could do about it if it came up like it did then.
Madam Chairman.
I think
still
courtesy
say
goes
She
an
was there
awful
at our
long way. And I think that
invitation, we asked her there, because when we asked for this call board meeting, we requested,
Who's we?
the private duty group asked for this.
The private use section, because some of the private use
First.
sections have said to me. that
First,
they
there were
didn't-
members there were 5 members of this board that requested a call meeting of the
Yes,
board,
yes.
which was not complied
Yes,
with. And
That's right.
then instead, this other was done, took our meeting date and everything else. In that letter, we requested that they be asked to be present. So, if you called a meeting on your own, and that's not what we asked for, we felt like we had a right to invite them to come. And we were invited. I invited them, Mrs. Mahaffey and I, as chairman and the
Well,
secretary.
because some of your people
And
have asked me if I did it, and I told them, no, I didn't have anything.
Well, that's true, and we hadn't had a meeting to tell them. Y'all took our meeting date,
No, I
the day
know.
that we were gonna tell them all the whole story.
Question.
Those in favor of, written apology being sent to Mrs. Ollie Barban and Miss Esther Watts, parliamentarian from the 5th District Board, please say aye. Please raise your hand. I think for decency,
Yeah, I'll vote for this.
I do think it should be stated that you did not know, though. I told Miss Barban and I told Miss Watts that you did not know anything
on
about
top of this, I'm not,
Well,
No,
I told the two of them when they were sitting.
no,
That was the
tell you-
first I knew they were there, when I saw them in the lobby.
Yeah, I'm not that low.
I did not know
Madam
that they were in the
Chairman,
hall.
I think that would be a good addition to the letter, and also that I don't believe that many of the members present knew that she was there.
I'm sure of this, Miss Wells, because I didn't
Well, I
know.
got up and spoke to it.
I did not know
She
that
quite,
back then until Miss
I got up
Wells.
and spoke to it and explained
Sure did.
explained the
Dixon got up to
president.
the floor.
And then
and
too,
said
the
it.
parliamentarian,
That's the first time I knew it.
the parliamentarian was there to defend her issues because they were published in the district meter.
Yeah.
And there was so much being said that she was in error.
I originally know suggested to it, recognized. I was with her.
She, out the hall when I came in.
Madam Chairman, I have another motion. You didn't call for new business until I asked for it.
I called for new business a long time ago.
She sure did.
Old business and new business before I completed the term. Does this
Well-
have to be acted on tonight?
I still have a motion I want to present because I feel like that private duty still is not satisfied. We feel like that those 2 meetings were null and void. And we've got, the bylaws have been violated. And I still maintain that we went through the proper channels by going to the appointed legal counsel for this association. And we got no response. And we asked for a call meeting of the board through you and didn't get any response. Instead, you turned to the other. So, and when the published material that was in the meter was not sufficient, I think they should have published the letter that we at least contacted and wrote the legal counsel, for which he did not give us the courtesy of an answer even.
Well,
Why didn't you send me a copy? I don't know
Miss
what's going
Atkins
on.
explained to you that this was ruled long time ago. Nobody is supposed to
Oh, yes, we were a
contact the
whole
legal-
section, and we certainly have a right
No,
to
you
go
weren't.
with the membership
You
that
weren't
we've
a whole
got.
Any
Not a
correspondence,
section.
any,
I sent the copy of the letter to the president and the secretary. And I feel that if publishing the correspondence, you should have published the names of the signatures who wrote the letters. We would have been glad for the 5 names
What
requesting
is
our
your
board to
motion
have been
then,
published.
sir?
My motion is, I move that, we are not satisfied with what has been done, so I move that all correspondence, minutes, district meters and so forth concerning the problems of the validity of the votes on the amendments to the bylaws be submitted to the Executive Board GSNA for their study and recommendations to the Executive Board of 5th District GSNA and the 5th District GSNA.
I think Ms. Atkins already done this to the parliamentarian. She's got every bit of this information.
Well, I still want to make
Is
a
there a
motion.
second to Ms. Zer's motion? Is there further discussion?
If it's already there, is it necessary to do it
Well,
again?
she sent her all this.
That was to the parliamentarian.
And
And-
blow by blow, we've sent her.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
asking
know
that
this
this be
motion.
sent to the Executive Board of GSNA for study and recommendations back to us, since we are a constituent of GSNA.
I thought that since it was seconded, it was time for question and discussion, and my discussion was, is it necessary if they already have it?
It has not been referred to them, it's been only to the chairman of the
I
bylaw
haven't sent it to
committee.
the executive board, no.
Yes,
Well, that's what I'm
shall I
asking
read
to be
it?
sent to.
Is that all you want, everything that's been published, is that what you
Every-
want?
All material
Better
that
read.
is quoted in there, everything
In the
about
meeting?
it. The minutes, the district meters, when the notices were in, because they have violated the bylaws.
Well, I've been down to see your parliamentarian twice in Columbus. I took 2 trips down there, took the tape recordings, and I have
I
kept
know
her
that.
posted on everything that has
I
been
know
done.
that, and yet when she came to this meeting to bring her opinions on it, she was asked out of the meeting, and she felt like that she had a right to be there since her correspondence had been published.
And it was read, her correspondence
Well-
concern, it was read, but nobody did anything.
Well,
And
she would
after
have read
the
it, she
study,
was gonna
where's it
pass
gonna
them
go?
out at the meeting when she got up to speak and tell. She was gonna say the same thing, and then she was gonna say that I'm passing it out to have in the hands of all of you what I'm fixing to say.
Since she already has all of this,
I didn't say her, I said
This is to the
executive board
to the
of
executive board.
GSNA.
You want 1 copy, is that right? Or you want 25 copies, or how many copies you want? We'll let the state make them if they want extra copies, I'll send
Well,
you
if
1
she's,
copy.
I'm sure if they send it to the board, 1 full copy, they can manograph and get them all to the board.
I'll send it to the executive board on it.
If
If you vote on it, if you vote on it.
But where does it, after they study it, who do they report to?
They come send it back to this board and to the district.
Want me to read the motion again?
Yes, please.
I move that all correspondence, minutes, the district meters and so forth concerning the problems of the vitality, validity of the vote on the amendment to the bylaws be submitted to the Executive Board of GSNA for their study and recommendations to the Executive Board, 5th District GSNA and 5th District. The Executive Board,
GSNA, you have to
GSNA
put
and
that.
5th District GSNA.
Because we're constituent.
Is there further discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no?
No.
With the noes, raise your hand. Six, no, and the affirmative vote. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Are you having anything else?
No.
Is there further business?
I can move, we adjourn.
I second.